The rain hammered New York streets, each drop a bullet against my skin. As I sprinted through the alley, heart pounding louder than the storm. I'd just seen her Lila standing under that flickering neon sign, her blonde hair plastered to her face, eyes wide with fear and something else, something that made my chest ache. She'd whispered my name, Jess, like it was a prayer. But before I could reach her, the black SUV screeched to a stop, and I knew I was out of time. My name is Jessica Harper, 26, a bartender with no family, no savings, and a knack for trouble. I grew up in foster homes across Brooklyn, learning early that trust is a luxury I couldn't afford. But Lila Morgan, 25, with her soft smiles and sharp mind, had slipped past every wall I'd built. She was a paralegal at a high-powered law firm, polished and poised, yet somehow saw something in me worth saving. We met 6 months ago at a dive bar where I poured her a whiskey sour, and her laugh, bright, unguarded, changed everything. Now, I was running from a billionaire's threat, and Lila was the reason I couldn't stop. It started 3 weeks ago, when Victor Crane, a tech mogul worth billions, walked into my bar. He was 50, all sharp suits and sharper eyes, with a reputation for buying people's souls as easily as he bought companies. He slid a contract across the counter, his voice smooth as venom. "Marry me, Jessica. A year, tops. You play the doting wife, and I make you rich." I laughed, thinking it was a bad joke, but his smile didn't waver. "Refuse," he said, "and I'll hand you over to someone who doesn't negotiate. Someone like Cassandra." Cassandra Voss. The name alone sent a shiver through me. She was a ghost in New York's underworld, a woman whispered about in dark corners, a fixer who made problems disappear permanently. No one knew her face, but everyone knew her body count. Victor's threat wasn't empty. He had the power to ruin me, and he knew it. I had no connections, no way to fight back. But I had Lila, and that was the problem. "You're insane," I told Victor, shoving the contract back. "I'm not marrying you." His eyes darkened, and he leaned closer, his cologne choking me. "You don't get it, Jessica. This isn't a request. It's a deal to keep you alive." He left the contract on the bar. His parting words a blade. "Think about Lila. Cassandra doesn't miss." I didn't tell Lila at first. How do you tell someone you love that a billionaire wants you to fake a marriage to save your life? Or that refusing might get you both killed? Lila and I were still new, still fragile, stealing moments in coffee shops and her tiny apartment, where we'd talk until dawn about dreams we were too scared to chase. She wanted to be a lawyer, to fight for people like me who'd been chewed up by the system. I wanted to open my own bar, a place where misfits could belong. But Victor's threat loomed like a guillotine, and I couldn't drag her into it. That night, after Victor's visit, I met Lila at our Spoda quiet park bench overlooking the Hudson. The city lights danced on the water, and she held my hand, her warmth grounding me. "You're shaking," she said, her voice soft but firm. "What's wrong, Jess?" I wanted to lie, to protect her, but her blue eyes saw through me. So I told her everything: Victor, the contract, Cassandra. Her face paled, but she didn't let go of my hand. "We'll figure this out," she said. "Together." Her words should have comforted me, but they only tightened the knot in my chest. Lila was fearless, but she didn't know Victor's world: money, power, and blood. I'd seen what men like him could do. My foster dad, a small-time crook, had been crushed by debts to people like Victor. I'd barely escaped that life, and now it was pulling me back. But Lila, She was different. She believed in justice, in fighting, and I loved her for it, even if it scared me to death. The next day, Victor sent a message, a photo of me and Lila kissing outside her apartment, time-stamped from the night before. The note attached read, "Choose wisely." My stomach dropped. He was watching us. Lila, oblivious, was at work, digging into case files, while I paced my cramped studio, the contract burning a hole in my bag. I had 48 hours to decide. Or Cassandra would come for me and maybe Lila too. I called Lila, my voice shaking. "We need to run," I said. She was quiet for a moment, then replied, "Running won't stop him. Just, we need a plan." Her calm was infuriating, but she was right. Running was what I'd always done: new foster homes, new fights, new scars. But Lila made me want to stay, to fight for something real. So we met that night in the alley, rain pouring, where she handed me a USB drive. "I found something," she said, her voice urgent. "Victor's hiding more than money." What she'd found changed everything. Lila, digging through her firm's files, had uncovered encrypted documents linking Victor to illegal deal shell companies, bribes, even ties to organized crime. If we could decrypt them, we could expose him. But the risk was insane. Victor wasn't just a billionaire. He was untouchable, with eyes everywhere. And Cassandra, she was his shadow, waiting to strike. As the SUV's headlights cut through the rain, I grabbed Lila's hand. "We can't stay here," I whispered. She nodded, but her eyes burned with defiance. "We're not running. Just, we're fighting." Her words lit a fire in me, but the fear was louder. Victor's threat wasn't just about me anymore. It was about her, the woman I'd die for. And as the SUV's doors opened, I knew our time was up. We ducked behind a dumpster, the rain masking our footsteps as the SUV's doors slammed shut. Lila's hand was clammy in mine, but her grip was iron. "Stay low," she whispered, her voice steady despite the chaos. I wanted to scream, to drag her away from this nightmare, but her resolve anchored me. The USB drive in my pocket felt like a bomb. Its secrets our only weapon against Victor Crane. Two men in dark suits stepped into the alley, their silhouettes sharp against the neon glow. They weren't cops. They moved too deliberately, like predators. "Jessica Harper," one called, his voice cutting through the storm. "We just want to talk." Lila's eyes met mine, and I saw the same thought: Cassandra's people. My heart raced. Victor wasn't waiting for my answer anymore. Lila tugged me toward a rusted fire escape. "Up," she hissed. We climbed, the metal groaning under our weight, rain making the rungs slick. My boots slipped, but Lila caught me, her strength surprising for someone who looked so delicate. At the rooftop, we crouched behind an air vent, catching our breath. Below, the men scanned the alley, their flashlights slicing through the dark. "They'll find us," I whispered, panic clawing at me. "Not if we move first," Lila said. She pulled out her phone, typing furiously. "I sent the files to a friend at the firm. If anything happens to us, they'll leak." Her voice was calm, but her hands shook. I stared at her, awestruck. This woman, who'd spent her life buried in law books, was gambling everything for me. "Lila, if they catch us, they won't." She cut me off, her blue eyes fierce. "I'm not losing you." Her words hit like a punch, raw and real. I wanted to kiss her, to tell her I loved her, but the beam of a flashlight swept the rooftop, and we froze. Time was running out. We crept across the roof, aiming for another fire escape on the far side. The city sprawled below, a maze of lights and danger. Lila's plan was bold but shaky: decrypt the files, expose Victor, and pray it was enough to keep us alive. But Victor's reach was long, and Cassandra's shadow loomed larger. I'd heard stories, people who crossed Victor vanishing, their names erased. Lila didn't know that world, but I did, and it terrified me. At the fire escape, we descended quietly, landing in another alley. Lila checked her phone. My friend says the files are heavily encrypted. We need a hacker, someone outside Victor's circle. I nodded, thinking of Mikey, a foster brother from years back. He was a tech genius, always skating on the edge of legal. If anyone could crack those files, it was him. But finding him meant diving back into the life I'd sworn to leave behind. We caught a cab to Brooklyn, the driver oblivious to our soaked clothes and racing pulses. Lila leaned against me, her warmth a lifeline. Why me? I asked, the question slipping out. Why risk all this for me? She turned, her face soft but resolute. Because you're the first person who ever made me feel like I could be enough. Her words broke something in me, and I kissed her, the cab's hum fading as the world narrowed to us. Mikey's place was a rundown loft in Bushwick, cluttered with monitors and takeout boxes. He was 28, lanky, with a crooked grin that hadn't changed since we were kids. Jess, you look like hell, he said, letting us in. I told him everything, Victor. The contract. Cassandra. His grin faded. You're in deep, sis. But I'll help. For you. He took the USB, his fingers flying over the keyboard. This'll take time. Victor's tech is military grade. While Mikey worked, Lila and I sat on his couch, her head on my shoulder. If we pull this off, she whispered, we could be free. Really free. I wanted to believe her, but freedom felt like a dream too big for us. Victor wasn't just a man. He was a machine, crushing anything in his path. And Cassandra. She was the blade he wielded. Hours later, Mikey cursed. Bad news. The files are tied to a server. If I crack them, Victor will know. He's got trackers. My stomach sank. Lila squeezed my hand. Then we leak what we have now, she said. Enough to scare him. Mikey shook his head. You leak this. He'll send Cassandra. You need leverage, not a death wish. Lila's phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Time's up. Jessica. Sign or she dies. Attached was a photo of Lila's apartment, the door ajar. My blood ran cold. Victor wasn't playing anymore. Lila's face hardened. We need to move. Now. But before we could, Mikey's monitors flickered, and a new message popped up. You can't hide. The loft's door rattled. Someone was here. Mikey dove under his desk, yanking wires to kill the monitors. Back exit, he hissed, pointing to a rusted door behind a pile of junk. Lila grabbed my arm, pulling me toward it as the front door shuddered under a heavy knock. My pulse thundered. Cassandra or her goons had found us. The USB drive, still plugged into Mikey's rig, held our only chance, but there was no time to grab it. We slipped through the back door into a narrow stairwell, the air thick with mildew. Lila's hand trembled in mine, but her jaw was set. We can't keep running, she whispered. We need to fight back. I wanted to argue, to tell her fighting Victor was suicide, but her courage was contagious. She wasn't just the soft-spoken paralegal anymore. She was a force, and I was falling harder every second. The stairwell led to a side street, where the rain had slowed to a drizzle. Mikey led us to his beat-up van, parked under a broken streetlight. "Get in," he said, tossing me the keys. "Head to my safe spot in Red Hook. I'll grab the drive and meet you." I hesitated. Leaving him felt wrong, but Lila nodded. "He's right. We split up. We're harder to track." Her logic cut through my fear, and we climbed in. The van roared to life, and I drove, weaving through Brooklyn's maze of streets. Lila sat shotgun, her eyes scanning the mirrors. "Victor wants you for a reason," she said. "This fake marriage's not just about control. He's hiding something bigger." I gripped the wheel, her words echoing my suspicions. Victor's empire was built on secrets, and I was a pawn in a game I didn't understand. Red Hook was a ghost town at night, all warehouses and shadows. Mikey's safe spot was an old storage unit, stocked with canned food and a cot. Lila paced, her phone dead from overuse. "If Mikey cracks those files," she said, "we could take Victor down. Expose him to the feds, the press, anyone who'll listen." Her hope was fierce, but I saw the cracks, her bitten nails, the way her eyes darted to the door. I pulled her close, her warmth steadying me. "Lila, this goes wrong. You run. Promise me." She shook her head, her voice breaking. "I'm not leaving you. Just not now. Not ever." Her lips brushed mine, a desperate, fleeting kiss that tasted like rain and resolve. For a moment, the world was just us, but the screech of tires outside shattered it. We ducked behind a stack of crates, peering through a crack in the unit's door. A black car idled, driver hidden. My phone buzzed, a text from Mikey. "Got the drive. Decrypted some. Victor's tied to a trafficking ring. Stay put." My stomach churned. Trafficking. That was the secret. Victor wasn't just a billionaire. He was a monster. And I was his cover, the wife to clean his image. Lila's eyes widened as I showed her the text. "We have to get this to the authorities," she said. "But we need more. Proof he can't bury." Her mind was racing, already plotting, but I felt the weight of Cassandra's shadow. Victor was this dirty. He'd killed to stay hidden. And we were in his crosshairs. Headlights swept the lot, and we froze. The car wasn't alone. Another pulled up, and a woman stepped out. Tall, sharp-featured, with dark hair pulled tight. She moved like a panther. Cassandra. I knew it without a name. Her presence was a blade, cold and precise. She scanned the lot, her eyes locking on our unit. My breath caught. Lila whispered, "We can't stay here." We slipped out the back, crawling through a gap in the fence. The night was heavy, the air thick with danger. Lila's hand found mine, and we ran, the warehouses blurring past. But Cassandra's voice rang out, calm and deadly, "Jessica, you can't run forever." My blood froze. She was close, too close. We hid behind a dumpster, hearts pounding. Lila's eyes met mine, fierce and unbroken. "We're not done," she said. "We expose him, or we die trying." I nodded, her strength fueling me. Mikey's text said he was close, but so was Cassandra. The USB drive was our lifeline, but only if we survived the night. The dumpster stench clung to us as we crouched, Cassandra's footsteps echoing closer. Lila's breath was shallow, but her eyes burned with defiance. "We need to move," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the distant hum of the city. I nodded, my mind racing. Mikey was out there with the USB drive, our only proof against Victor. But Cassandra was a hunter, and we were her prey. We darted across the lot, weaving between rusted shipping containers. Red Hook's industrial sprawl felt like a cage, every shadow hiding a threat. Lila's hand stayed in mine, her grip a lifeline. There. She pointed to an abandoned warehouse, its windows dark. We slipped inside, the air thick with dust and oil. The silence was worse than the chassis felt like waiting for a guillotine to fall. Lila pulled me behind a stack of crates. If Mikey gets those files to the right people, Victor's done, she said. Her voice was steady, but her hand shook as she checked her dead phone. I wanted to believe her, but Cassandra's presence lingered like a ghost. Lila, I said, my voice cracking. If she finds us, you run. I'm the one Victor wants. Her jaw tightened. Stop it, Jess. We're in this together. Before I could argue, my phone buzzed. Mikey, I'm at the pier. Files are uploading to a secure server. Stay alive. Relief hit me, but it was short-lived. A faint creak echoed from the warehouse entrance. Lila froze, her eyes wide. I grabbed a rusted pipe from the floor, my hands slick with sweat. If Cassandra was here, I'd go down swinging. The door groaned open, and a flashlight beam cut through the dark. Jessica. Cassandra's voice was smooth, almost amused. You're making this harder than it needs to be. My heart stopped. She was close, her steps deliberate. Lila pressed against me, her breath warm on my neck. We can't fight her, she whispered. We need to outsmart her. I scanned the warehouse broken machinery, scattered tools, a ladder to a catwalk above. Up there, I mouthed, pointing. We crept toward the ladder, every creak of the floor a betrayal. Cassandra's flashlight swept closer, and I heard her hum, a chilling, tuneless sound. We reached the ladder and climbed, my hands shaking on the cold metal. On the catwalk, we crouched, hidden by shadows. Below, Cassandra moved like a predator, her flashlight scanning the crates. You can't save her, Jessica, she called. Victor always wins. Her words cut deep, but Lila's hand on mine kept me grounded. She's trying to scare us, Lila whispered. We just need to hold out until Mikey's done. But holding out felt impossible when every second tightened the noose. My phone vibrated again. Mikey. Uploads at 60%. Feds tipped off. Hang tight. Hope flickered. But Cassandra's flashlight hit the catwalk, and we ducked. I see you, she said, her voice closer now. My grip on the pipe tightened. Lila's eyes met mine, and in them, I saw everything: fear, love, defiance. We're not done, she mouthed, echoing her words from earlier. I nodded, but panic clawed at me. Cassandra was climbing the ladder, her boots clanging. We had to move. The catwalk led to a broken window, barely big enough to squeeze through. Go, I whispered, pushing Lila toward it. She hesitated, but I shoved harder. I'm right behind you. She crawled through, and I followed, the glass scraping my arms as we landed on a fire escape outside. The night air hit us, cold and sharp. We ran, the pier in sight, where Mikey's van waited. But Cassandra was too fast. She emerged from the warehouse, her silhouette a nightmare against the moonlight. Jessica, she shouted, her voice no longer amused. A gunshot cracked, and I tackled Lila to the ground, my body shielding hers. The bullet missed, but my heart was in my throat. We scrambled to our feet, sprinting for the pier. Mikey's van was there, engine running. He leaned out, waving frantically. Get in. We dove inside, and he floored it, tires screeching. Upload's done, he said, breathless. Feds have the files. Victor's screwed. But as we sped away, I saw Cassandra in the rearview mirror, standing still, her eyes locked on us. She wasn't done. Lila clutched my hand, her face pale but fierce. We did it, she said, her voice trembling with relief. But I knew better. Victor wouldn't go down quietly, and Cassandra was still out there. The fight was far from over. The van's engine roared as we tore through Red Hook, the city a blur of lights and fear. Lila's hand was still in mine, her pulse racing under my fingers. Mikey's eyes flicked to the rearview mirror, his knuckles white on the wheel. Cassandra's not following, he said, but his voice shook. I didn't believe him. She was a shadow, always one step behind, waiting for us to slip. We need to get to the feds, Lila said, her voice firm despite the tremor in her hands. The files are out, but we need to testify. Make it stick. Her lawyer's mind was already mapping the next move, but I saw the exhaustion in her eyes. She'd been strong for me, for us, but the weight of Victor's world was crushing her. I wanted to protect her, to take her somewhere safe. But safety was a fantasy now. Mikey pulled into a deserted lot near the waterfront, cutting the engine. We wait here, he said. My contact at the FBI is on their way. 30 minutes. Tops. 30 minutes felt like a lifetime with Cassandra out there. I scanned the darkness, every shadow a threat. Lila leaned against me, her warmth a fragile anchor. We're close, Jess, she whispered. We can end this. I wanted to believe her, but Victor's power was a hydra cut one head, and another grew. The files linked him to trafficking, but he had lawyers, money, influence. And Cassandra, she wasn't just a hired gun. She was his wrath, his insurance policy. My mind flashed to the contract. His cold eyes as he slid it across the bar. Marry me, or die. I'd chosen to fight. But at what cost? Lila's phone, now charged in the van, buzzed. A message from her friend at the law firm. Victor's team is panicking. Feds raiding his office. Stay hidden. Relief hit me, but it was fleeting. Victor's panic made him dangerous, like a cornered animal. And Cassandra, she didn't panic. She hunted. We sat in silence, the van's windows fogging with our breath. Mikey fiddled with his laptop, double-checking the upload. It's airtight, he said. Names, dates, bank accounts. Victor's tied to a cartel. If the feds move fast, he's done. Lila nodded, but her eyes were on me. You okay? She asked. I wasn't. My whole life, I'd survived by running, staying small. Now, I was in the open, and Lila was with me. I'm scared, I admitted. Her hand tightened around mine. Me too. But we're stronger together. A car's headlights swept the lot, and we ducked. My heart pounded as the vehicle idled, then moved on. False alarm. But it shook me. We can't stay here, I said. Mikey nodded. 10 more minutes. Then we moved to the meet point. But before he could finish, a sharp crack split the air a tire. Blown out. The van lurched, and Mikey cursed. She found us. Cassandra stepped into the light, a pistol gleaming in her hand. Her face was calm, almost bored, as she approached. Jessica. Lila. She said, her voice like ice. You've made a mess. I shoved Lila behind me, gripping the pipe I'd grabbed earlier. Stay back. I growled. But Cassandra just smiled. You think that'll stop me? Lila's voice cut through, steady and sharp. The feds have everything. Cassandra. It's over. Cassandra's smile didn't waver. Nothing's over until Victor says it is. She raised her gun, and time slowed. I lunged, swinging the pipe, but she dodged, her movements fluid. Lila screamed my name as Cassandra grabbed my arm, twisting it until the pipe clattered to the ground. But Lila was faster than I expected. She tackled Cassandra, her small frame fueled by desperation. They hit the ground, and I scrambled for the pipe, my hands shaking. Cassandra threw Lila off, her gun skidding across the pavement. I swung the pipe, catching Cassandra's shoulder. She grunted but didn't fall. You're dead. She spat, lunging for me. Mikey floored the gas, the van lurching toward Cassandra. She dove out of the way, and we piled in, beating off. Lila was bleeding from a cut on her cheek, but her eyes were fire. We're not done, she said, echoing her mantra. I nodded, my heart in my throat. We had the files, the feds, and each other. But Cassandra was still out there, and Victor's empire wasn't crumbling yet. The van rattled through Brooklyn's backstreets, the blown tire making every turn a gamble. Lila pressed a rag to her cheek, the blood staining her fingers, but her eyes never left mine. We're almost there, she said, her voice steady despite the pain. Mikey's contact was waiting at a safe house near the Navy Yard. A last chance to hand over the evidence and disappear before Victor or Cassandra could strike again. Mikey's hand shook on the wheel. Feds are moving on Victor's properties, he said, glancing at his phone. Raids in Manhattan, Jersey. Even his offshore accounts are frozen. It sounded like victory, but I felt no relief. Victor was a snake, and snakes strike hardest when cornered. And Cassandra. She was still out there. Her cold eyes burned into my memory. We reached the safe house, a nondescript brownstone tucked between warehouses. A woman in her 40s, Agent Torres, met us at the door, her face all business. You've got balls, Harper, she said, ushering us inside. Crane's untouchabler was. She took the USB drive, her team already analyzing Mikey's upload. Lila explained everything, the contract, the threat, the trafficking ring. Torres listened, her expression grim. This is enough to bury him, she said. But you two need to stay low. Crane's got friends in high places. Lila nodded, but I saw the fire in her eyes. We're not hiding forever, she said. He needs to face what he's done. Torres raised an eyebrow, impressed. You're a fighter, Morgan. But stay alive long enough to see it through. She handed us burner phones and fake IDs. Lay low for 48 hours. We'll handle the rest. The safe house was sparse couch, a kitchenette, a single bedroom. Mikey crashed on the couch, exhausted, while Lila and I took the bedroom. Alone, we collapsed onto the bed, the weight of the night crashing over us. Her fingers traced my jaw, her touch soft but fierce. We're going to make it, she whispered. Kissed her, slow and desperate, pouring everything I couldn't say into it. Her lips tasted like hope, but fear still gnawed at me. Sleep was impossible. Every creak of the house made me jump, expecting Cassandra's shadow. Lila slept fitfully, her hand clutching mine. At dawn, Torres knocked. Good news, she said. Crane's in custody. The files were gold names, dates, shipments. He's done. Lila's face lit up, but I couldn't shake the dread. What about Cassandra? I asked. Torres frowned. No sign of her. She's a ghost. That word just chilled me. Cassandra wasn't just a hired killer. She was Victor's failsafe. With him in custody, she had no reason to stop. If anything, she'd be angrier, more dangerous. Lila sensed my fear and squeezed my hand. We've got the feds now, Jess. She can't touch us. But her voice wavered, and I knew she didn't fully believe it. We stayed in the safe house, the hours dragging. News reports buzzed with Victor's arrest, his empire crumbling under the weight of the evidence. Lila watched, her face a mix of triumph and exhaustion. We did this, she said, her voice soft. You and me. I wanted to celebrate, to believe it was over. But Cassandra's absence was a storm cloud. She wasn't the type to let go. That night, the burner phone rang. I answered, my heart pounding. A woman's voice, cold and familiar. You think it's over? Jessica. Cassandra. My blood froze. Victor's gone. But I'm not. You took everything from me. The line went dead. Lila's eyes widened as I told her. We need to move, she said. But Torres was already at the door, her face pale. We've got a problem. Someone tripped the perimeter alarm. We grabbed our things, adrenaline spiking. Torres led us to a back exit, her gun drawn. Stay close, she said. But as we stepped outside, a figure emerged from the shadows. Cassandra, her gun gleaming. No more running, she said, her voice ablade. Lila stepped in front of me, her body trembling but defiant. You're done, Cassandra. It's over. Cassandra laughed, a sound that cut through me. It's never over. She raised her gun, and I braced for the end. Time froze as Cassandra's gun glinted in the moonlight, her finger on the trigger. Lila stood in front of me, her body a shield, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. You don't have to do this, she said to Cassandra, her words a desperate plea wrapped in courage. I wanted to pull her back, to take her place, but my feet were rooted, my heart screaming her name. Cassandra's eyes narrowed, cold and unyielding. You don't understand loyalty, she said. Victor gave me purpose. You took that. Her voice cracked, just for a moment, revealing something human beneath the killer's mask. I saw it then. Cassandra wasn't just a weapon. She was a woman broken by Victor's world, bound to him by something deeper than money. Torres moved, her gun trained on Cassandra. Drop it, she barked. You're surrounded. I glanced around. No backup, just Torres bluffing. Cassandra's lips curled. Unfold. You're alone, agent. And they're mine. Her gun steadied on Lila, and my world narrowed to that moment. I couldn't lose her. Not now. Not ever. Lila, move, I shouted, shoving her aside as I lunged at Cassandra. The gun fired, the sound deafening, and pain seared my shoulder. I hit the ground, blood soaking my jacket, but I'd bought Lila a second. Torres fired, her bullet grazing Cassandra's arm. The killer staggered, her gun clattering to the pavement. Lila screamed my name, dropping to my side, her hands pressing against my wound. Stay with me, Jess, she sobbed, her voice breaking. Torres tackled Cassandra, cuffing her as sirens wailed in the distance. Backup was coming finally. My vision blurred. But Lila's face kept me anchored, her blue eyes fierce with love. "You're not leaving me," she said, her hands trembling as she held me. I tried to speak, to tell her I loved her, but the pain was too much. Cassandra, pinned to the ground, laughed bitterly. "You think this ends with me?" She spat. "Victor's reach is everywhere." Torres tightened the cuffs, her face grim. "Not anymore," she said. "He's done. And so are you." But Cassandra's words lingered, a poison in the air. Even in cuffs, she was a threat, a reminder of the world we barely escaped. Paramedics arrived, their hands quick and efficient as they stabilized me. Lila clung to my hand, her face streaked with tears. "We did it," she whispered. "We're free." I wanted to believe her, but the pain and fear made it hard. Victor was in custody. Cassandra was caught, but their shadows loomed. Freedom wasn't a place. It was a fight we'd have to keep winning. In the hospital, I woke to Lila beside me, her hand still in mine. My shoulder was bandaged, the pain dulled by drugs. "You scared me," she said, her voice soft but fierce. "Don't ever do that again." I managed a weak smile. "No promises." She laughed, a sound that broke through the darkness, and kissed me, her lips a promise of tomorrow. Days later, Victor's trial began. The files we'd risked everything for were airtight names, dates, proof of his trafficking ring. He faced life in prison, his empire ashes. Cassandra, too, was charged, her loyalty to Victor her undoing. Lila and I testified, our voices steady despite the fear. The courtroom was a battlefield, but we stood together, unbreakable. We moved to a small town upstate, far from New York's chaos. I opened a bar, a cozy place for misfits like me. Lila studied for the bar exam, her dream of being a lawyer closer than ever. We built a life, not perfect but ours, filled with quiet moments, coffee at dawn, her laugh in the evening, our hands always finding each other. Cassandra's words haunted me sometimes, but Lila was my anchor. "We're enough," she'd say, and I believed her. Love wasn't just a feeling. It was a choice, a fight, a promise we kept every day. Victor had tried to break us, but he'd failed. We'd risked everything, and we'd won not just against him, but for each other, for a future we'd make together. No matter the odds.